Hello there and welcome back to another developer live stream live from the Firaxis studio. I'm your host Rachel Sema, senior producer here at Firaxis Games, and I am joined by Jake Solomon, creative director of Marvel's Midnight Suns, and Joe Weinhofer, lead designer of Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. We're very excited to be here.
Joe's first live stream. We're very excited.
Since XCOM, but
That's
it's been
right.
a while.
Today we're going to be looking at some more tactical levels, some new characters, and checking out some new mission types. Reminder that the game is launching on December 2nd, so we're really closing in on our launch date. And for viewers who are new and who have never seen the game before, how would you describe Midnight Suns to them, Jake?
It is a pony simulator. No, it is a tactics RPG set in the Marvel Universe, set in the supernatural side of the Marvel Universe. So as a brand new superhero called the Hunter, which we designed alongside Marvel, a customizable hero, you lead heroes from all across the Marvel Universe into combat. And then, after combat, you go back to your superhero base called the Abbey, and you live alongside them. You develop relationships with them. You get to hang out with them, see them develop relationships with each other. That's the RPG side of things. We're going to talk about that on our next live stream. Today, we're talking about the combat stuff.
Right. Going deep into combat, we'll talk about the mid to late game mechanics, progression systems for the heroes, and show you what some of our later game enemies and a mission would feel like when you have your characters really powered up and get into that deeper gameplay combat progression.
This is why we went design heavy for this live stream.
Yes.
We're going to talk about details, so send your questions in.
That's
yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We will be taking questions for Q&A at the end of the stream, so make sure to drop those in the stream you're watching. And I think now that we've heard more about the game, we should go ahead and jump right into the first mission.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so our squad in this mission, we have Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and we have Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes, and we have Nika Minoru, the amazing, the unpredictable Witch from the Runaways. So we're going to talk about each of these characters, but to start with, I know we're going to kick off with Spidey.
Right.
And to talk about Spidey's, what he's like in combat, he is great at distributing damage to multiple targets. He's not like dealing massive damage to single targets. He's more about distributing the damage out there.
Yep, and he's great at using the environment. So I'm opening it up with his chain strike here, where when it's upgraded, you can actually hit 4 targets with it if each successive target is KO'd.
Right.
So you're able to take out 3 minions at once and also get some damage
right?
on this Hydra Marksman, who I know is going to be a big threat. I also mentioned we're playing this on Heroic 2 difficulty today.
Yeah,
so we
none of that
the
story
difficulty
nonsense.
Yeah, I was watching Garth play last time, so we're definitely up in the challenge here, so we'll see how I do.
So yeah, as you said, Spidey is the absolute best at using the environment.
Right.
He's got passives that benefit him from using the environment. He's got lots of abilities that benefit him when he uses the environmental. So when you bring him, you always want him kind of using all the environmentals.
So I just used Opportunist with Spidey, and that makes his next 2 environment attacks free to use, and it also boosts their damage. So I was able to use that explode that barrel and get a bunch of damage on it there. All right, so let's see what else I want to do here.
Just to jump in, Spider-Man is probably my favorite Marvel hero. And
you and about 700 million other people.
And an important thing to note here is that he will be available on all of our platform releases.
Yes.
Very true.
Yeah.
All platforms. Yep. Spidey's going to be there from day one.
Very excited to have him in the game.
So what you did there is you used an area attack, right?
Right, I knocked down the topple. Yep, right. And the marksman was camouflaged, so it was concealed, but when you have a concealed enemy, you can still hit them with AoE and area attacks. And
force him to reveal himself.
So force him to reveal himself. Now I can try to get some more damage on him, so let's go ahead and do that here with Ghost Rider.
All right, so we finally get to use Ghost Rider. To talk about Ghost Rider at a high level, very, very, very powerful.
Yes.
Deals massive amounts of damage to area damage. He deals single target damage. The thing about Ghost Rider, though, is that he's a little trickier to play because he also deals damage to himself a lot of times. There's a cost to the things he does. So he's kind of like the Dark Hunter branch. There is a cost to playing a lot of Ghost Rider's cards. And so when you do that, you just have to play him the right way. The benefit being, of course, he does massive amounts of damage.
All right, so even though the marksman went concealed again, I'm going to be able to take him out with this other topple trap here and Ghost Rider.
And can we talk a little bit about our version of Ghost Rider and who he is?
Yeah, so Robbie, there have been a lot of Ghost Riders, some more famous than others. I think a lot of people know Johnny Blaze, of course, the original Ghost Rider, the stunt rider. I love Johnny Blaze. There's Danny Ketch. So Danny Ketch was the Ghost Rider in the early 90s. Danny Ketch had a lot of the awesome powers. Danny Ketch was Ghost Rider in the original Midnight Suns comic book. And of course, those were two motorcycle riding Ghost Riders. We have Robbie Reyes. So Robbie Reyes is an awesome young guy from East LA. He drives a car, which, you know, which we have the ability.
I've got that ability in my hand. I'll see if I can get the heroes and play it.
So, and Robbie Reyes has a lot of the same abilities. In our universe, Robbie Reyes has a lot of the same abilities as the other Ghost Riders. He is considered a spirit of vengeance, and he's this really, really awesome character. And he has this real cool duality of personality. Oh, thanks, Nico. He has this real duality of personality. He's this really nice, sunny California guy, and at the same time, he transforms into this demon-fueled spirit of vengeance when he's on the battlefield.
All right, so let's cap that off. We've got Hellride right here.
Oh, yeah.
I can pull off.
One of my absolute favorite abilities. So to talk about how cool Ghost Rider is,
you can see the Hellride itself.
Such a cool ability.
Yeah.
Again, tons of damage, but the flip side to that, of course, is Joe.
I just discarded my entire hand.
Right. You discard your entire hand. And he did it with one card play left. So this is
not smart.
An elite strategy, I think, that Joe's pulling off here.
Yeah, we'll see how it pays out.
Let's see how this plays out.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
While Joe saves his game here, couple questions that we have. So from Taco Martinez on YouTube, do we have any DLCs planned after release?
We do, and we're going to talk about that with a little bit more detail, probably towards the end of the stream, but we do. We have a season of DLC planned, which players can get as a package. They get that if they order the Legendary Edition of the game. It has 4 heroes, and they all have their own story. It has its own unique story. They integrate into your game at any point. Amazing heroes, and we are excited to talk about that probably in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
All right, so the Shield Guard punched Ghost Rider so hard, knocked him back into a barrel, and I'm in trouble now.
Okay, all right. That's fine. Ghost Rider was just the strong damage dealer.
All right, well now Nico is going to shine here.
Oh, this is cool, actually. So this is great. We're going to show, so let's talk about Nico, right? So no, we didn't plan any of this, you know?
No.
So Nico, our third character, I love Nico. One of my favorite books ever written was the Runaways book.
Runaways is fantastic.
And so Nico, she has the Staff of One, and she is a witch with powers in her own right. In our game, what that means is that her abilities are a little more unpredictable. They add a little bit of randomness, but the randomness is all triggered when the ability is drawn into your hand. So we have this effect called roulette, and we can see there, basically it means this card could do this thing, or it could do this thing, or it could do that thing, and you'll know once you actually draw that card into your hand what exactly it's going to do. But it'll do something different next time and something different the time after that. So yeah, she is a really, really fun hero. The other thing about Nico, very powerful support, incredibly powerful. Probably the best heroism moderator or generator in the game, besides maybe Doctor Strange. She's up there with him.
Absolutely.
All right, so she, depending on the roulette of your cards, she can also deal massive amounts of damage.
Right, so this ability that I'm using, Swarm, actually has variable amounts of damage, which I think the one I just did was about 100, but I've got another copy in my hand that only dealt 52. So that was a pretty bad roll.
That's a good example.
On the roulette.
Right,
but
Witchfire.
Should I risk it? So Witchfire, so Nico also does
What is her
have...
curse doing right now?
Curse is stun, so that would also be pretty good right now.
Right.
Although, I'm going to leave the Shield Guard. He's going to detonate on his turn and deal damage to this Hydra Elite. So I just want to leave him kind of where he is.
All right.
But I think I can stun this Elite.
You're fine, you're fine.
We might be able to recover this.
There you go. And you mentioned that we upped the difficulty, Joe.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about difficulty in Midnight Suns, the options, all of that?
Sure.
I will, while Joe continues to...
No, we have 8 different difficulty levels. Increasing the difficulty will bump up both the health and the damage that enemies will deal to you in combat. We also will change the amount of revives that you can use for your heroes, And I think at the very highest difficulty levels, the number of enemies that you'll face in a mission will also change. So highest difficulties when you get up to Ultimate 2, Ultimate 3, I think there are more reinforcements will come in.
That's right.
So it gets very, very challenging. So this is kind of a mid-tier difficulty that we're playing on right now.
Heroic 2.
Heroic 2.
Heroic 3 is probably my favorite to play on, which I think feels, if I could make a comparison, it feels like Classic or Commander from the X-Men difficulties. It's challenging, but manageable. But you get up to Ultimate, and it's Ultimate.
All
right, so we've revived Ghost Rider.
Yep, I used one of my revive cards. I think I might only have one.
Oh, look at that.
That was a great combo. So there's an upgrade you can unlock for your heroes later in the game where at the start, if you knock back an enemy into a hero, both the enemy and the hero will take damage. But now that I'm later in the game, I have an upgrade that lets me, that lets the heroes react with a counterattack of their own when you knock an enemy back into them, which is extremely powerful.
And that's actually a Spider-Man research project.
That is a Spider-Man research project, yep.
So one question about Nico, from King Greek 111 on Twitch. How difficult was it creating Nico, the best character in the game, and her play style, and were there any issues in her development?
Well, sure. Because I think that if you really know Nico, you know that her staff of 1, so narratively, in the 616, the comics universe, the staff of 1, the way it works is that she can only cast a single spell one time, right?
Yes.
And so she can say, if she says, you know, fire or be gone, she can only do that one time. The staff of 1 will not do it again.
Or so, it will do something, but will have very unpredictable
Yes, very unpredictable results. And for that reason, in the comics, she like knows a bunch of languages because that's a way around it, you know.
There are loopholes, of course.
But for us, what we decided to do then was say, well, she's a powerful spellcaster in her own right. We're going to take that unpredictability from the staff of 1, and we're going to bring it over into her gameplay.
Yep.
And again, it was really fun. Once we realized we were going to do that, it was fun because we don't have unpredictability in this game. That's not really anything that's featured anywhere else. And so it's fun for Nico. We can push her above the power curve, but at the same time, we say, well, she's unpredictable, right? So
it was a fun design challenge to figure out how we could work in her unpredictability, but still stick to our rule of, you know, when you have cards in your hand and you always understand what their effect is going to be. She's the one character that pushes outside that. This is a great example ability of that. Witchfire will target random enemies on the board. It deals a ton of damage, and if it happens to KO an enemy, she'll recast it again. This is a situation where there's only one enemy left, so
it's such an awesome ability.
Oh yeah, so we can watch her use this. But if you can kind of manipulate, if you know the state of your board really well, then you can use it to great effect.
And I would call out the animators and the job they did on her animations. They are phenomenal.
She looks
some
fantastic.
Of my favorite animations in game.
So, all right.
How'd you do?
Not too good 1 star.
Oh, no.
Probably because of Ghost Rider got KO'd, so I lost some points there. But pretty good overall.
Yep.
Okay.
And we've got our custom comic book cover generated here, the Masters of Light. So.
All right.
Awesome.
So let's head back to the Abbey and we can start setting up for our next mission. So even though the Hunter didn't go on that mission, they're not required on general missions. You can bring whatever 3 heroes you want, but you know you're still always controlling and playing as the Hunter back in the Abbey. So we've got our hero squad coming back.
That's right.
And then we'll have the Hunter go to sleep and get ready for the next day.
We did get another question from Twitch. This one's from Alpine Kitty. Have you had to tranquilize Deadpool to keep him out of the live stream today?
Yes.
He's been raising some havoc here.
Persistent.
Yeah.
Persistent. Deadpool is persistent, and I can appreciate that. So yes, we'll have more to say on him in just a little bit.
His petitions have not gone unnoticed. All right, so we'll get set up here in a sec for our second mission. Now this one, we're actually going to bump up the difficulty even more to Heroic 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really setting us up for a challenge here. And we're going to be looking more at, this is more of a mid to late game mission where we're going to be in our second region of the game, which is the Southwest, where once you kind of finish the storyline in New York, you move on to story missions in the Southwest. And we're going to be using both Blade and Ghost Rider again, but with much more upgraded abilities and more powerful.
And modded, and we'll talk about that once we get
so,
into combat as well. But yes, we're going to take, Joe is going to take a little more time with this mission because it's going to be tougher. It is definitely going to be a tougher mission, which is exciting.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And in between missions, as you alluded to, as a player, I get to go and explore the Abbey and talk to different characters, and we will be exploring that in our next developer live stream.
That's right.
That is where you interface with our different vendor characters. We have Doctor Strange and Tony Stark and Captain Marvel all kind of serve as vendors in the Abbey and can help you upgrade your gear and work with the gamma coils you recover in combat to get new card abilities.
And then there's all the friendship and the relationship
stuff.
And, so we will dive into that soon.
Absolutely, yeah, we're very excited to show that off. But okay, I think we're about set here.
Yep.
Perfect.
So
let's jump in.
we're looking at squad select.
Do we have the decks we want? Do we have the abilities
Yeah, I think
we
so.
want?
I want to check a couple things here. So let's see if we.
And we can show this here. So we we can show this. So we're kind of choosing what abilities we want.
Right, so this
Blade.
is Blade's deck. Okay, so let's see what we've got. So his deck, he's got a bunch of modded cards already. So every ability in the game starts out with its kind of base version, which Jake and Garth were showing a couple weeks ago. You can upgrade them, which is a kind of a preset mechanic, or preset, like we've determined what the upgrade is for every ability. So you always upgrade in the same way. But then you can also add mods to cards, and these are randomized. So all the cards in the game can have a pool, they have a pool of random mods you can pull from. So for example, this version of Quick Strike has Apply 1 Marked attached to it as a mod.
It's interesting.
But the one in my deck, let's see, this already has on KO, draw a Blade card. That's really good, especially for a quick ability, which I know I'm gonna be using to KO enemies. But let's see, I think, all right, so Stake is kind of a common ability. Let's swap that out for Savage.
We did get a quick question from the stream. How many cards can you have for each character?
So every hero goes into combat with 8 cards, right? 8 abilities. And there's some rules about them, but you can really mix and match from a lot of different abilities for the heroes, especially ones that become modded, depending on what kind of hero, how you want that hero to play. Do they want to deal more damage? Do you want it to be a little more supporty? So they all bring 8 abilities into combat, and then they have some additional abilities. And what we see here, actually, is we see that we're bringing in 2 combo cards. And that's because we have so much friendship among all of our heroes in the Abbey that they're going to start generating these combo cards, which will show up in missions as well.
We've also got
and combat items.
A set of combat items that we can bring. So I know this is a destroy device mission, so I'm going to bring this anti-material charm, which I can specifically use against devices. So I know that will probably be pretty useful. And the Nanite Edge item gives bleed. We know Blade really likes when enemies are bleeding. It boosts his damage a lot. So I'm going to make sure
great one.
That's as well. So
we're going to bring, and we see here, and we can go, because we're going to bring Ghost Rider back with us. And this is just an upgraded version. We want to show
Right, so we can see, he's got a bunch more upgraded abilities. He's got some modded abilities at this point. So this will be a much later game version of Ghost Rider in our progression. So, all right, let's do it. And they've got their super swanky Midnight Sun suit armor on there for Blade and Ghost Rider, looking fantastic.
Right, and so to unlock that armor and their legendary abilities, which hopefully we'll see in this tactical mission, you have to be at maximum friendship with the hunter, and then you have to complete a challenge mission to unlock that. So there's a lot of cool things that go into that.
I want to make sure we talk about the fact that this is the first time we're really showing off a pretty big number of Hydra enemies in our live stream.
Well, these are the Lilin enemies, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry,
this mission now looks like it has a full demon lineup. So this is, again, later in the game, the Earth is starting to become overrun by Lilin and these demonic monsters that that the heroes now have to contend with. So we've got a Lilin Guardian back here protecting one of these 2 devices that I need to destroy.
Super strong
over
dude
here,
who shield stuff.
Yep. Over here we've got a Dark Legion, which
let's just wait until you see.
We'll wait until we see what they do, but I think our XCOM fans will recognize the Dark Legion. All right, so let's get started off with Cap here. Try to take out some of these minions, and we'll be off and running.
Right, so these are the Shadow Hounds. They tend to focus their attacks on one target at all times. And if you try to taunt them, they will all be taunted. So they're kind of a unified front in that regard.
So Cap's got this great Spang ability where if its enemy is targeting him, it'll deal more damage, and that's great for Cap because he's always taunting enemies. He wants the attention to be on himself. So, okay, I just spent my heroism on that. So let's just prep this turn.
Yeah, so Cap, we've had him before. Cap is a great support hero, right? He's great at defending, but he can also be, this This goes to the abilities you bring into combat. You get to choose what those are. Cap can be a massive offensive juggernaut,
Right.
or he can be a much more supporting defensive, or anywhere in between those two.
So I'm trying to get this other Elite Shadowhound next to the explosive, so then I can set that off and deal a bunch of damage to both of them.
Set it off.
So last week we played with one of Jake's favorite characters, Magic. Joe, what would you say is your favorite character in our lineup?
Ooh, I really like Doctor Strange. I think his abilities get very kind of meta and interesting and weird.
And Joe designed them.
And I'm biased because I also designed his abilities.
To be fair, I designed Magic, so that's
yeah, we're biased, but no, I also really love Cap. Cap has always been one of my favorite heroes, so he's very fun to play with. Okay, I think I'm about out of stuff I can do this turn, so let's.
Yeah,
oh, I did have a card play. All right, well.
Joe, I love this.
Here. I know. I'm just making it
upping
even
your
harder
own
for
difficulty.
myself here.
You
Yeah.
are upping your own difficulty. I like that.
Okay. Need to use my skills, generate my
So
heroism.
this is what makes the Guardian so difficult.
Oh, come on! You've got to be kidding me.
So
Okay.
This is good. We can talk. Oh my gosh, we got a lot. Oh my gosh, you are in trouble. Actually, okay. Let me. There's a couple things that happen here that I need to talk about.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a moment here.
A couple things happened on the AI turn that made this turn into a very, very, very difficult mission. So,
Wow.
first of all, oh my gosh. So first of all, we see Sabretooth has entered the mission.
Right.
So this can happen. Any of the fallen enemies, any of the villains in the game, can enter these general missions as a reinforcement. They can surprise you. It doesn't happen that often, but it does happen
They
sometimes.
show up randomly.
And then they're an incredibly difficult enemy when they show up, and now you've got to face off against the Fallen. And Sabretooth, you're going to see why he's so difficult. And then what we saw was the Dark Legion has the ability to clone its allies. And it happened to choose to clone the most difficult
enemy
ally,
on
the
this
Guardian.
map right now, the Guardian, who is blocking the objectives that I need to.
Right. So good luck, Joe.
Yeah.
I have not seen this mission play out. I swear to you. So we will see how this goes.
Yeah.
All right. So here's one of Captain America's.
Cap's one of his epic abilities, so you'll unlock it later in the game, but I love the name. I still smile every time I remember you coming up with a Brooklyn Handshake.
Brooklyn Handshake.
The Brooklyn Handshake. It's beautiful. Okay,
We do have a quick question from Twitch from Synchro Champ.
Okay.
Hydra,
Joe, take some time.
I know, yeah.
Collect yourself here.
Yeah,
Yes.
go
can you
for it.
talk about how many villain or villain factions are in the game?
Yes. I'm not sure really, there's two big villain factions. Villains are something else. There are how many villains?
I want to say 4, 5? 5?
Six,
6? I
including-
don't know. There are a lot of characters.
There are a lot.
characters. Not all the characters in the game will fight you in combat. That will still show up in the story.
Right.
But I know we have at least 4 fallen. There are definitely 4 fallen villains.
So 5 villains.
Yep.
And Sabretooth here actually has 2 forms. So Sabretooth
Right.
appears as a villain, and then he appears in this later game mission. He has now
As
become
a
corrupted.
become
So you're going to
fallen.
fight him uncorrupted and corrupted. And lucky enough for Joe, the corrupted version of Sabretooth is much tougher.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we do have another. There's really 2 types of enemies. There's Hydra, there's Lilin. They have some variation between them, and then there's a 3rd type of enemy which we haven't shown, but I wouldn't call them a full faction really. But they're an interesting enemy that you get to fight, and they're very, very different. They fight very different from Hydra or Lilin.
Right. So the interesting thing about Sabretooth is he has frenzy, which means that
All the time.
All the time. He has
He's
permanent
always
frenzy, which means that he is not going to act on the AI turn. He will act after I play a certain number of cards. So right now I've got 2 card plays left before he takes an action. So
We should say, Joe, we just fixed an exploit with this, didn't we?
we did, where
Yeah.
if he was the only enemy left on the map, you could just end your turn forever and he would never take any action.
And we were like, hey, wait a minute.
Like, that's probably not good.
So
we'll
we
make
just-
him
We just fixed that.
take an attack, or yeah, he'll actually attack at some point. So he can be very dangerous if you don't handle him correctly, because he will just keep hitting you every 2 actions every time you try to do things. Okay, I think think this is about as good as I'm going to get for this turn.
Right. So what we've got here is we've got a Dark Legion. That's full up. We've got 2 Guardians.
The 1 Guardian's pretty weak, though, so I think I'll be able to take them out. Oh, that's not
Cap.
good. So, and also, this is Heroic 3, so they're going to deal a ton of damage when they hit me.
A ton.
Oh,
And Wounded
yeah.
is such a bad status effect. So Wounded, what that means is that when a hero is wounded, or an enemy is wounded, oh boy.
Oh, no.
All right, the Dark Legion just happens to clone himself.
The other thing the Dark Legions do is clone themselves, which they will also do every time you attack them.
And by the way, those clones can then clone themselves, or they can clone their allies, and they can really get out of hand really, really quick.
Yeah.
Quick question about the wounded status. So we got a question from Profiteer on Twitch. Is this going to be like XCOM, where injuries carry over from mission to mission?
No. Status
effects do not. But a character can get injured if they take enough damage in combat, and then you can always choose to bring an injured hero onto combat, but they will suffer some negative consequence for bringing them.
They will just have to play around.
They might start with some extra cards in their deck that can't be played, or they will start with less than their max HP, or start with a debuff. So there's some kind of negative modifier that comes from that.
Now this is and this is another. Again, we're going deep in combat this time. This is a mechanic, the Drain Soul. If you could just highlight that for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
So some of our heroes have these. A hero we're going to showcase later. These are abilities that build power over the course of the encounter. So Drain Soul is a good example of that. Every time you use Drain Soul, all Drain Souls are going to get more powerful. They're going to cost more heroism, but they're going to do more attacks every time. They're going to chain more every time.
So I don't actually know what's going to happen here. So Drain Soul has Lifesteal on it, which means that Ghost Rider should recover health for doing this, but he also has Wounded, and I don't know what's going to happen.
Which is going to be more?
Which is going to happen first? I think if he has the Lifesteal, he'll survive the Wounded damage.
Right, so what Wounded is that every time you use an ability, you take damage.
I did get the Lifesteal first, so he's okay. Oh no, but now Sabretooth is acting. Okay, he's just charging up. Sabretooth, all right, so Sabretooth's now doing his Fatal Fury charge up, which means that his next action is going to be particularly devastating. So I want to make sure that I think I can KO him.
Right.
Oh, it might not be enough. Let's see. All right, we'll take a chance here.
Right, so this ability is quick, and we talked about those. This Ghost Rider ability is quick, so if you were to KO,
because Lash deals damage to Ghost Rider, and he was wounded.
And he was wounded, right? So, and that's Ghost Rider, right? He is the highs and lows of.
All right, well here we go. Let's get Blade in here.
Okay, so if we shove.
Blade's gonna be able to take out Sabretooth, so we'll stop his Fatal Fury attack. So Sabretooth should now be taken care of.
Nice.
Interesting thing about the Guardians, of course, whenever they take damage, they're immediately taunted, right?
All right, so Sabretooth ran away. So we've at least gotten him taken care of. Now I just need to somehow survive with Blade and Cap here. I can probably revive Ghost Rider. Let's see.
A couple of questions. Now, Joe, we were looking at the end of the mission menu on your last mission, and you only got 1 star. You know, not to remind everyone, but
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, no problem. How are mission stars calculated?
They are calculated based on how many turns it takes you to beat the mission, how many, if any of your heroes are KO'd, if you do things like, if you fight a villain, you'll get extra ratings. Generally, it's mostly based on how long it takes you to finish the encounter.
Yep, it's exactly what Joe said. If you face a villain, or if you get KO'd, those are positive or negative. And it's just basically a mission par for turns. And then, of course, those star ratings translate to the gloss you receive, which is our cosmetic resource.
Oh, okay.
Question from David Riley on YouTube. Do all characters gain XP after a mission, or just the ones that you bring?
Just the characters that you bring on the mission, and they gain XP from playing their abilities. But we do have a system where if you're, all the heroes will slowly level up to stay close to the Hunter's level. So we know the Hunter's the character most players you'll be using the most because they're required on all the story missions. So there's not a huge danger of any hero getting so far left behind that they become, inviable in combat.
Yeah.
But our missions also will adjust based on the squad that you bring. So the level should always be comparable to the heroes that you're taking on the mission. All right, so you got some more Shadowhounds here. I think one of the Dark Legion split again. So Corruption is a damage over time status effect that looks like it works similar to Bleeding. but it looks like it is just being kind of spreading around the battlefield here. I do not have a lot of good options. So let's redraw some cards.
So, and this actually goes to character makeup, right? Like Cap
True.
is down, right? Who is a more supporty character, right? And so what we've got is Ghost Rider, and then Blade, and Blade's loaded out with some heroic cards. And so we've gotten to a situation where we've got a lot of heroic cards in our hand. And so it makes it tough. We got to build up some heroism to play some of these.
Right, so I think what I'm gonna try here is Blade's Relentless deals more damage if a character's already damaged this turn.
Oh,
so
isn't that helpful?
just using Shove on to knock the Shadowhound back, I can now take him
beautiful.
out. So that is a step in the right direction. But Blade was wounded out.
This is a tough one, man. I will say, this is a pretty tough one.
I'm out of redraws. I don't... Okay, well, let's do this. I can get Vulnerable applied to this device, so it will take more damage, and then I can use this special break mission card. So certain mission objectives will have unique cards that appear on it directly related to the objective to help you complete it. So this break card is very good on this objective, and because now I just applied Vulnerable to the device, it's going to take even more damage. So that'll put us in a decent spot. Oh, perfect. So we actually took it completely out. So we've only got one device left. If Blade can survive. Oh, I didn't even notice Cap got down. Cap got taken out too.
We were just talking about Gloss there for a second.
You spent your revive already.
I spent my revive to get
no.
Ghost Rider back.
Okay,
So
well,
this is going to be close.
what we wanted to show is that on a hard mission, it can get really challenging.
Yep. All right. I might. Okay. Let's
So
see.
quick question from YouTube,
Ooh,
from
ooh.
Awesome Watt Will. Is there cosmetic customization for characters? And if so, how do you unlock those cosmetics?
Yeah, so let's talk about the hunter versus the heroes. And in fact, all heroes, the hunter and the heroes, have what we call palettes. And what that means is that their suits, both their Midnight Sun suit that they wear or their base suit, have a ton of different color options to them. And so you unlock those through a couple different ways, through friendship, interaction with that hero, so any sort of hangouts, if you have a good hangout with that hero, or if you level up your friendship with that hero, then that's going to unlock new Abby outfits for both of you to wear, or new color styles for your combat outfits. There are also chests around the Abby grounds that you can unlock, and then when you do that, sometimes cosmetic rewards come out of that. So that's how you really spending a lot of time with the hero is probably the best way to get new cosmetic options for that hero.
Yep.
The hunter has tons of they have tons of different suits. They have tons of different color styles for those suits. They have tons of different props they can equip in the Abbey. They can equip in combat. So, and all of those cost gloss, but you'll have a lot of gloss over the course of the game that you can use to unlock those things. Gloss is a purely in-game resource, and all these cosmetic things I just talked about, they're purely in-game. There's no microtransactions to unlock those. Those are all just in-game unlocked with our game resource gloss. How we doing, Joe?
Not great.
Okay.
Not great. But
Okay.
I used the quick ability on a Dark Legion that did not actually KO them. So that was not fantastic.
Okay.
But, let's see. On redraw. Oh, okay. So the Hunger has a mod on it. On redraw, gain Concealed.
Oh, that's
Concealed
such a good mod.
is extremely powerful because it means that none of the enemies are going to be able to attack Blade.
How many are targeting Blade right now?
All of them.
Oh
He's the only
my
hero that's left.
Gosh, you are.
But he also has Corrupted, which means he's going to take 60 damage at the end of the turn, and he's got 5 health left right now.
So what would Savage do to
Savage? So, all right. So Savage is actually really great for this mission because
Oh,
it
that's gonna
deals
kill
a
the
ton of
Guardian.
extra Guardian for. Oh boy. I guess we're restarting soon.
All right.
Thanks, IT.
Enterprise mission.
Yeah. All right. Can we have,
We'll get that taken off.
Okay. Yeah. We've got a mouse somewhere.
All right, in the meantime, let's take some quick questions.
Yeah, I can still kind of play.
Sorry about that, everyone. All right,
There we
so Grug16 on Twitch is asking, is Midnight Suns played on a grid?
No.
It is not.
And we're back
It is
in.
not.
Perfect.
No, Midnight Suns is not played on a grid. It's free movement, so you move your characters anywhere where they wouldn't obstruct any other characters. That's important because instead of it being grid-based, it's more linear. So think about more like a game of pool where you're lining up shots and everything is a very linear, directed positioning. Positioning is incredibly important for abilities with knockback or for environmental attacks, but it's more of a linear directional positioning and not anything that's tile or grid based.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna happen.
Yeah, how you doing, Joe?
Not good. So I used the
Time
hunger.
to bring the old console command.
Yeah, exactly. So this Dark Legion does have bleeding. So playing the hunger gives Blade some health back because its upgrade gives it lifesteal. I do have a shove still. Okay, so that is something. Can take both of those guys out. And okay, well, yeah, but
How we doing? How we doing? What do we got?
I don't have any redraws. I have no items to give me redraws.
And what do we have? What are we facing? Just one Dark Legion?
It's no. There's a bunch of them left.
Never mind.
So I think this is it. Well, let's see how it goes. All right. Well, Blade took bleeding.
What happens when you lose a mission?
Well,
let's see.
can either try to restart it, or you can reload and go back. We always have autosaves. There's always an autosave in the Abbey before you start a mission, so you can go back and pick a different one or bring different heroes. Change your item
autosaves in tactical, right? You could go back to previous turns and play, or you could say, you know what, I'm going to bring different heroes on this mission, or I'm going to change my cards on this mission.
Right, especially now if I know Sabretooth is going to show up in this mission, I could prep for him a little bit more. I could take a different approach to, maybe I need to bring a hero that doesn't have as much high heroism cards, bring faster heroes, especially when dealing with minions. But
I go back to the mirror table and I say, I'm not going to take that mission.
Right, maybe it's just
how
do
badly do I
something
really need the
entirely.
reward for this mission? Maybe I'll take the other general mission.
I think the Dark Legion is really tough. They can be very, very fun to fight, but the Dark Legion deciding to clone this Guardian at the beginning,
that's probably what ended
brutal.
That's probably what ended it. Sabretooth showing up, which you have to
and Sabretooth,
Then the Dark Legion cloning the Guardian that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's real tough.
And I only had one revive because of Heroic 3. So if we were been playing on normal difficulty, story difficulty, then you get 2 revives. So I could have brought Cap or Ghost Rider back a second time. So difficulty definitely has an impact on this, even with the high abilities. Let's see if we can do something fun really quick here. I can try to. All those guys are already targeting Cap. So let's find. Okay, the Dark Legion. Nope. Okay, I guess I can't. They're already targeting Cap. That's why I can't use it. But let's see if I can get one of the Midnight Sun cards in my hand really quick, and we can show that off because that would be really fun to see.
That's true. We didn't get to use.
We didn't get to see any of the really.
We have it.
I was spending too much focus just trying to survive here.
We have Glaive for Blade, which is amazing. We have Penance Stare for Ghost Rider. Those abilities can even be upgraded. It takes a lot to do it, but when you do, Daywalker's an amazing epic ability.
Let's see.
Have we shown a combo? I think we showed a combo.
We showed a combo. I think you guys did a combo last week, but we could definitely do that. That's what. All right, that's what I've got right now. So let's just set this up quick. There's Brooklyn Handshake again. Cap saying hello.
And now that would actually give us enough heroism.
And now we've got enough heroism to use the combos. This is a Blade and Cap combo. If the target has bleed, it will do more damage. That's okay. But let's focus on
Nanite Edge. Oh, it's only one card play. Okay.
And these combos are really awesome. I think our team has done an incredible job from the audio, from the animation, the effects. They're all incredible.
This Dark Legion was a huge pain last time, so let's focus on him to start.
Actually, this would be good, because then let's see what happens on the AI turn, because you're going to...
see if something different happens, because I'll 2 Dark Legions to start, right? That's why I avoided hitting it the first time, because I didn't want it to split until I was ready, but...
are so scary. They are so creepy.
Our animation team did such a good job with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I do still have a shove left. So let's at least try to take out the shadows. Oh, all right, Cap took a little bit of damage there. That's okay.
All right, so, and this is a good way of showing, again, the game, we always wanted this to be, being replayable. So it's a core pillar of how we make games here. This would show, again, a lot of times you'll do this, you'll restart an encounter and say, this didn't go as well as I wanted, And so if we do that, what we see here is that instead of taking out a bunch of the hounds, we damage the Dark Legion. Guardian is still rocking and rolling here.
All right, so we've got
Sabretooth
showing up again.
We do have a quick question from DJ Kolpkin on YouTube. Is it possible to get max friendship level with every character?
Technically,
It is. It is. Oh, all right. Still, yeah. So now we had to the Dark Legion split and clone the Guardian. So
yeah.
All right.
It is possible. It is just.
It'll take a lot of time.
It would take a lot of time. A lot of time to do that. You really have to invest in the characters you really of your choice. But sure, you could do that. You could do everything in this game. You can play it. After the game ends, you can continue to play. And so yeah, you can do that. I would just say. My experience is that I max out friendship with by the end of the game. If I'm playing even at a pretty brisk pace, I'm saying maybe 4. So to do all of them would be it'd be an investment for sure.
Yeah. And we have a question from our friend Christopher Odd from Twitch.
Hey, Chris.
This is a question specifically for Joe.
Okay.
Of all of the heroes that you've designed, who's presented the most challenges and why?
I think Spider-Man was actually really tough because he's so iconic and has so many fans. Trying to figure out a way to make him feel fast and agile and dynamic. I think when we settled on the idea of letting him be a character that uses the environment really well and has a lot of accessibility there, that really helped get him to a better place because you can give him a lot of moves. Like you can basically just do a lot with Spider-Man every turn. So even though he doesn't have the highest single target damage, he can really distribute a lot, and he's just whipping environment objects around all the time. So it felt very core to his character, and ends up being super fun to play and different than the other heroes. But it definitely took us I think a while to get to that point of making sure that he didn't feel like he was so overpowered and dealing a ton of direct damage, because that's not really who Spidey is. Like he's got to be the the quick-witted, zippy guy who's flying around all over the place, and making sure that felt good for him in the game.
Yep.
Took a bit.
We have another question from the Order of Dylan on Twitch. What would you say to anyone who's on the fence about the game because they've never played a tactical or XCOM style game before?
Don't play it on Heroic 3.
Yeah, that's a good advice.
Start at normal.
Yeah, no, we've tried to make the game very accessible for anyone who, for players both who have experience with tactic games and players who don't. I think the game's very easy to pick up and play. We have, on our default difficulties, you should be able to kind of say, hey, this ability looks cool, I can do this turn, I'm gonna pick this guy, and just kind of send the character off and running. Using the abilities is as simple as, just click this ability, click the guy that I want to attack with it, and the character goes off and running. So we tried to abstract away from a lot of the complexity from XCOM, which we love. We love the deep tactic styles, but we found ways to translate it into Midnight Suns of removing the hero grid, removing the hit chance, to really make the game feel like you're playing superheroes and also have it be more accessible at the same time.
I think it does go back a lot to difficulty. So when you're playing on normal difficulty, which everyone will start at, the game is more about how well can I win this fight, not, oh my gosh, am I gonna lose? As you get to the higher difficulty levels, if you want to, if you bump up to the higher difficulty levels, it does become a game a little more like XCOM, where it's like, oh, I really have to think this through. I may actually lose this mission. But at normal difficulty, really the feeling we wanted people to have is how well can I play this game? How quickly can I beat this mission? What is the best use of all these abilities? So, yeah, it's definitely, I think, our most accessible game by far, but at the same time, not leaving behind the
depth that you can get with the characters. Yeah. So I just want to call it again, the Dark Legion. Whoever designed them is really a monster, because they are just terrible enemies.
Well, especially with Guardians on that board.
Well,
that is tough.
So they also have an ability that gives them lifesteal. That has lifesteal. So they will split themselves, and every time you attack them, they split themselves. And then they can heal themselves, so they have even more health and can just keep splitting again. There's a story mission late in the game where you're fighting almost entirely Dark Legions, and it's a blast. It's so much fun. It is a ridiculous mission, because it just gets so messy so quickly, because there's just a flood of Dark Legions everywhere. But all right, well, I'm in a pretty bad shape here again, with Cap and Blade both down.
While you figure out how to save this mission, Joe, we've got another question from YouTube. Phantom Peeper IS. Is there a clock on the campaign like XCOM 2 Avatar Project, or can you just keep running side missions?
No, there's no clock. You can take as much time with this game as you want. And again, that goes to a little bit to the idea of this isn't XCOM in that regard. Like losing the overall game is not something that's going to happen in Midnight Suns. That was part of XCOM, but that's not a part of Midnight Suns. So yeah, you can take as much time as you want. You can go on as many side missions as you want. If you want to befriend everybody before the final mission, sure, go ahead. After you beat the final mission, keep playing. There's a ton more to do. So yeah, there is no clock at all. And it's because it's an RPG too. We want you to be able to take your time, experience all these different things, go down as many side roads as you want, and that's a big part of the game. Oh, Judgment.
This is a fun ability. Not going to do much for me here, but Ghost Rider basically can explode an enemy and then, all right, well, now Dark Legion's splitting again, so.
How many Dark Legions we got now? What's the count on Dark Legions?
Yeah, we need the little running tracker.
That's right,
in the
yeah.
upper
Next
corner here.
stream.
Hey, well, he leveled up now.
All right, let's see. So we've got at least 1, 2, 3, I think. Yeah, looks like 3, but Sabretooth's still around. I haven't even touched the devices. So normally when you play this mission, it's interesting since you have to take out the devices, but you'll have a pretty steady stream of reinforcements coming in. Sabretooth kind of took over the reinforcements.
Once a fawn shows up, you don't have to worry about reinforcements. You just have to worry about
dealing with
insanely
the
hard fallen enemy.
Right. So.
We do have another question from Twitch, from Fire Thunder 8. How much research went into recreating the hero's abilities? Did the devs read many comics, talk to fans, or watch a lot of videos?
Sorry, what are comics?
All of the above.
I don't know. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, yes. to be very serious about it, of course. You know, it's an honor to work with this. I say this honestly, for our team, for individuals on our team, for our team as a whole, it's an honor and a dream to work with these characters. So yes, a ton of research, and again, even some of the characters we picked, it was because they're beloved by us. But yeah, we would always research these characters pretty extensively, both from a look standpoint, so our modelers, our animation teams, our concept artists, we would talk deeply about who this character is, what were they like in combat, what are they like outside of combat. From a design standpoint, from a narrative standpoint, of course, yes, you are reading comics voraciously. I've been reading comics for almost 4 decades now, Marvel comics, and so yeah, we're pretty deep when it comes to that.
Yeah.
This is a tough mission. So.
Oh man.
That's great. I don't know if I want to attempt that again.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, we'll take some questions, I think.
Yeah, but no, just to echo what Jake was saying, I think we absolutely wanted to do a lot of research on all the characters to make sure that when we're designing their gameplay abilities and their tactics, that still resonates with who they are as a character. And that was really important to us to make sure that when you're playing with Captain America's abilities in combat, it feels like something that Captain America would do. And each of the heroes, we approached their tactical design in such a way to really try to make that connection with our personality. Similar to what we were talking about before with Nico, where it's like, she's got all this randomness with the staff of 1, how can we make that work is a cool tactical
It's interesting.
mechanic.
It's somewhat helpful, right? And it's somewhat difficult by saying, oh, this character has a personality and the abilities need to fit this. Well, that's kind of nice because you can say, all right, well, that gives me a starting point, right? But at the same time, when we have so many characters, we need them to all be at their own place in this matrix of design where it's like, well, this one feels different, this one fills this role, this one fills this role, we need enough support, we need enough damage. Right. So it was this constant game of pushing the heroes around, making sure they're true to who they are, really true to who they are. And of course, Marvel Games was an enormous help when it comes to that. But making sure they're true to who they are, but at the same time, making sure that our roster is filled out with the right kinds of characters.
Yep.
And on the research note, we've also had a really great partnership with Marvel themselves, too, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I know for my team, it's been great to be able to talk with them.
Yeah, and it's talking with them. They've got a great team where you can even say, like, hey, I need ref on this, or hey, I need ref on this very specific thing, and
like, has this ever happened in comics ever in Marvel history? Right. And they're like, oh yes, that happened in issue number 375 of this character.
And that's great. And I mean, even down to like, you know, some of these heroes rooms will show these, but like in the Abbey, you know, they have like photos in the rooms customized, and so Marvel helped us get like art for the photos in each of the characters' rooms. So yeah, obviously being partnered with Marvel is so helpful.
So I think we'll take our Q&A while we give this one more shot. We'll do a speed run.
Yeah, we can. I'm just. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to.
You can play in the background, Joe.
Sure. We'll do some. I'll keep talking.
We'll do some Q&A for sure.
Absolutely.
So we got another question from Christopher Odd on Twitch. How do the challenges in the top left of the screen work? I.e. playing blade abilities in the first 3 turns.
Yeah, that's a great call. We meant to talk about that. So this is something that you can. this comes from a upgrade to the War Room that you can build in the Abbey, where challenges will start appearing on missions that you can choose to opt into. There's a currency called Intel that you can get in the Abbey from recovering Intel caches as one of your mission rewards. And then you can choose to basically pay a little bit of Intel to turn these challenges on or off. And if you complete them, you get extra rewards. So the challenges always relate to the hero who's kind of leading the mission. So in this case, it was Blade. And I've got a challenge to play 4 Blade abilities in the first 3 turns. These challenges can kind of vary pretty widely, where it can be, use environment attacks, deal some amount of damage. Some of them are hero specific. I think Blade has one to apply bleed to some number of enemies, or Cap has one to gain a bunch of block, or taunt a bunch of enemies.
Big pool of random ones that you could just see, and the player can opt into the challenges, right? So they'll show up, and you could say, well, okay, yeah, I want to take this challenge because I get great rewards, but I have to fulfill it, right? So now, and this is great for a deep dive, is that we can see how deep some of these missions can get, right? So we're going to get a Fallen appearing, you have a mission objective, you have a hero challenge on top of that, and you get pulled in these directions. And again, you don't have to complete the hero challenge. You do have to beat the Fallen.
Clearly wasn't thinking about it the first 2 times I tried to play this.
And so that it's kind of a fun thing. We also have lots of different things. You could all of a sudden, you have the chance to interrogate a Hydra enemy who you've knocked down. All these little things start filling the battlefield, and you've really got to think, all right, how do I spend my time here? Can I do all these things? Sometimes you can't do all the things at once.
So we've got another question from Donkey World on Twitch.
Donkey World!
That's right. Instead of using a move to shove, can you use it to move out of the attack range of an enemy?
Absolutely. So I'm using shove a lot because I love shove. I think it's a great upgrade. But yes, move can absolutely just be used to move. Once you move a character, you can continue repositioning them wherever you want. So you can use them to get out of ranges of AoE areas of enemies if you see they have the like an explosion radius on the ground. Or you can use it to set up for perfect knockback angles. So let's see, I can do that here.
And so shove is like an upgrade to move, which again, it's a research, and in fact, it's a Blade research. It's actually Blade's research, is being able to convert moves into shoves. There's another one where you can actually convert moves into cures. So you can cure your allies by spending a move. And so, again, it's just one of the deeper things in combat that come out of hero research and upgrades.
So here, I just use my move with Ghost Rider, so now he's got momentum, so I can keep repositioning him to wherever I want, because I wanted to use Retribution to knock back Sabretooth into this Shadow Hound.
Oh, nice.
So now that I'm in range to do that, I have set up that, that angle, and we're good to go.
I'm going to keep the questions coming. So another question from Donkey World on Twitch for you, Joe. Assuming that you could hold out long enough, do reinforcements ever stop coming on this difficulty level?
It depends on the mission objective type more than on the difficulty. So certain missions, I think on most Destroy Device missions, they do peter out after 5 or 6 turns. But there are mission objectives where the point is to just survive for as long as you can, or survive 3 turns, survive 4 turns, and then you'll see pretty consistent reinforcements the entire time. There are probably objectives we have where Protect Device might be one. I don't know. There are probably a couple where it's like you will just get reinforcements until you succeed.
Most missions, you'll find that the reinforcements cut off at a certain turn, and typically it's like 2 or 3 turns because these missions don't typically last. Maybe they could go anywhere from 3 turns to 6 turns, but that's pretty fast.
Yeah, we don't want them to drag on for too long. We're hoping each mission is only 15 to 20 minutes, so you can get through them pretty quickly. So, cutting the reinforcements after a certain point on some missions helps you kind of just wrap it up when hopefully you're already feeling good about the state of the mission. Okay.
Speaking of feeling good about the state of mission, how are we feeling, Joe?
Better, I think.
That's
Better.
good.
We'll see. I think I got one of the devices down already.
Oh, nice. All right.
Although, I haven't paid much attention to the Dark Legion or Sabretooth, so...
How many gardens you got? Just one?
No, there's another one over here.
Okay.
We have another question here from Twitch. How do synergies work between 3 characters on the board?
So synergies are kind of organic, and because we have so many characters, all the heroes can work well together, but you have to be careful. We never want it to be a situation where you take 3 heroes, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah, this doesn't work at all.
Right.
But there are some pretty natural synergies where they can really help each other. So some more support heroes or heroism sharing heroes.
Right. So I know, especially bringing Ghost Rider on this mission, I know he's going to damage himself a lot. So I would probably bring a more support hero than, Blade is a big damage dealer. Cap is more of a tank, but I probably would want to bring somebody like a light hunter or Nico or Doctor Strange who has some healing capabilities to help keep Ghost Rider really fueled up and keep him alive to do his big attacks.
Right. Or a Captain Marvel who's just massive heroism spender.
Right.
Pair her with somebody who can generate heroism because she's going to need it.
Now, we got a question from someone who loves Captain America. What are characters that work well with Captain America?
Well, he's a tank, so I mean, he actually works really well with most other characters because he can, take damage from a lot of enemies, pull fire off of other heroes, and he also draws a lot of cards. So, of course, he's Captain America. He's going to support the team no matter what. He's going to be the leader. So a lot of his abilities involve, drawing cards into your hand for your other characters. So he is great at being, super stalwart tank, and also just, keeping your hand full and keeping you kind of rolling for the entire mission.
Yeah, I'd say, again, Joe's absolutely right. Captain America being support, he works pretty well. I think he's a great pair with, unsurprisingly, with another Avenger, Iron Man, because he draws so many cards. Tony does great when he's got a lot of cards, specifically his cards in hand.
Right.
And then allowing Captain America to draw fire and then letting Iron Man go off, I think is always pretty powerful.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Cap does really well. And again, it depends on how you build Cap. You can build Cap to be more offensive. You can build him to be a little more supporting.
Yeah, we got another question from Justin Neagle on YouTube. Does every hero have their classic/iconic attire?
Yes. I mean, it's our interpretation a lot of times of their classic iconic attire. So when you see the gold and black suits, those are the Midnight Sun suits that have to be unlocked through gameplay. But every hero starts with a version of their classic attire. So if you look at Cap, you mind getting down on Cap real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So this is our interpretation of an iconic look for Captain America, which we came up with Marvel Games. And every hero starts with what we would consider to be our interpretation of an iconic look for that character. But then they'll unlock the gold black Midnight Sun suit if they reach maximum friendship with the Hunter and do their challenge mission and all that.
Awesome. Another question from Cute Little Chaos Kitty on Twitch. What was the reaction of the team when they got told that they were making a Marvel game next?
Well, I remember
my reaction.
Yeah, I remember Joe and I went to lunch.
Shock, and are you serious? We get to work on a Marvel game? Extremely, extremely excited, and surprised. And I think the team was too. But I think, everyone was very, very excited and enthusiastic about being able to work with this. With these, absolutely legendary characters.
Yeah, and it, again, they're the most popular narrative global IP right now, so that was really exciting to think. And again, we've told this story before, but it was Marvel that reached out to us, and so I think that was energizing for the team. Marvel reached out to Firaxis and said, hey, to the XCOM team and said, would you guys be interested in making a Marvel game? So that was really, it was just really exciting because we're such huge fans of Marvel.
We have a question from Lego Mojo on Twitch. Will we know what the character-related upgrades are, like Blade's converting move into shove, before we commit to them, or is that something that we'll find out as we play?
So those are actually unlocked through a research system in the Abbey, where Doctor Strange and Tony are working to research new technologies to upgrade the Midnight Sun's capability and to upgrade the Abbey building. So I'm sure Jake and Garth will show that off on the next live stream. But then the research project rewards will kind of unlock those upgrades that you can then purchase. So you do choose specifically which upgrades you want to purchase once you have them unlocked.
Yeah, and again, we'll show more next week. But yeah, you've got to, if you want Blade's research, you're going to have to take Blade on missions. You're going to have to upgrade Blade abilities. So again, it's all these moving parts where you say, ooh, man, I really want that research reward. And that means, well, you've got to upgrade 4 Iron Man cards. You're like, okay, I need to spend some time with Iron Man over the next couple missions so I can get this research reward.
Cool. We have a question from Bunny Yee on Twitch. If you were a Midnight Sun, what kind of hero would you be? Support, damage dealer, tank? Come on, Jake, what do you think?
I think Joe would be some sort of support, probably.
Probably. Yeah.
Joe keeps.
I would say I want.
Yeah, Joe keeps everything running, man. Joe makes everything run. Maybe he's a tank. Actually, Joe, this is how I should talk. Joe would be a tank, right? Because Joe tanks damage from the team, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I will say my typical RPG class is a paladin, so
yeah. I think
Joe that is not off base.
Joe is a spokesman for design internally and externally as well. So I think Joe sort of like evangelizes internally and externally. So I think Joe, I would consider Joe to be my tank. You know, he tanks damage. You know.
So you're the damage dealer then?
Yeah.
Or you're the support?
Many people on the team would consider me to be a damage dealer. Probably. I try not to be, but sometimes it happens. So yes, maybe. Garth is support. You know.
Garth is definitely support.
Yeah, producer.
Would you, like, is discipline specific? You know, maybe producers are support and...
I'm sure someone on Twitter has made like a grid of like
game dev, like
right.
RPG classes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's RPG.
That feels like something I've seen.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and if that hasn't been made, someone should definitely go make that.
Yeah.
How are you doing here in this mission, Joe?
I feel like I'm doing a little bit better this time. I don't.
Blade is not looking so good.
Blade is definitely down. So I'm trying to get enough. I'm trying to get enough heroism up to use one of the Midnight Sun abilities, so we can show those off. But I just now have all heroic cards in my hand, and I have no ways of generating heroism. So I think I'm done for this turn. We'll see. Oh, he was okay. Blade wasn't down. He was just dazed. So okay.
Can you talk a little bit more about how the Fallen show up in missions?
Sure. So all of the villain enemies that we have in the story, and the Fallen are part of that, are kind of introduced and really have their big narrative moments in the story missions, and like they will show up through the story and play a big part in the narrative that we're telling, and we'll have their big set piece missions with them. So then outside of those missions, when you're on your kind of general encounters, the villains that you're currently facing in the story will sometimes show up, just to say hi and try to ruin your day. So it is a pretty low chance that it can happen, but I'd say, a handful of times per game through playthrough, you'll have them show up.
Bro, they just double cloned the Guardian on you.
Okay.
There are 3 Guardians out there right now.
God, I've got, all right.
Yeah, I'd say, in my experience, it's probably like 5 times over the course of, I don't know, maybe once every 10 missions will they randomly show up, but you're going to fight them a lot in the story.
You'll fight them in the story, so you'll definitely see them all pretty frequently. All right, I'm going to take a risk here. I want something that generates heroism, because what would be perfect right now is being able to play Glaive. Immolade's very good too. Immolade's very fun, because it gets to... All right, so...
We did get a question about whether heroes could get pushed off of the map.
No, heroes can't get pushed off of the map, and neither can Fallen. So your villains, they're a class. They're in a class with your heroes where they can't be thrown into drops.
So you can't get free. You can't get free KOs on the villains or on yourself. Right. So yeah, the heroes are. So there we go. So since Ghost Rider has Immolate, every enemy that he KOs will explode for a turn or 2. Right. So I use Ghost Rider to KO the Guardian there, and he exploded and dealt damage to the Shadowhound. Okay, I've got enough heroism, so we can do Penance Dare.
Oh.
Shall we do Penance Dare on?
So what we would want, of course, is for Ghost Rider. And so this is kind of cool about Ghost Rider. It really, even though he loses health, the more health he has, a lot of his damages do, a lot of his abilities do more
So
damage.
Judgment works that way, where it deals damage in an AoE, consuming Ghost Rider's health to kind of set and turn an enemy to a bomb. Penance Dare is Ghost Rider's marquee ability.
Any way to heal him? We do not. We don't have a Drained Soul. Well, we do have a Drained Soul, right? You got a Drained Soul, right?
I only have 1 card play.
Oh!
And it's going to cost heroism.
This is the challenge.
This is the challenge. So, all right, Sabretooth is going to react to this badly, but I want to see this.
Yeah.
Penance Dare is just super awesome.
Oh, these
Here we go.
Are so cool.
We will judge his sins.
So, in the comics, the way the Penance Dare works is that Ghost Rider forces you to relive the pain that you have caused others immediately. He summons all the pain that you've caused on others. He forces you to relive that immediately. Now, Sabretooth is a murderous psychopath, so he should just be immediately annihilated. But then, of course, the comics has all these workarounds where sometimes they're like, I don't care. Like Sabretooth may just like all the pain, maybe that makes him happy when he gets to relive it. So, but yes, Penance Dare is an awesome ability. Oh, the corruption.
Yeah, all right, so now I've got corruption spreading again. I think everyone's at pretty low health here. All right, yep, there goes Blade.
We do have a question from Kaiser Carnage on Twitch. What Fallen version of a villain was your favorite to design? I love the Fallen Venom.
Fallen Venom is extremely cool.
Fallen Venom is cool.
Super creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've shown, you know, there's a couple of Fallen, right? We've shown all the Fallen, so I will say it's really something to fight a Fallen Hulk, Fallen Scarlet Witch.
He is.
Those are two of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe, and then we're like, well, how do we make them
Up their power level even more, make them even scarier.
So yeah, I mean, designing them, it was really, you know, I think Venom, was the biggest challenge from a look standpoint, because you're like, how do you take Venom, who's already monstrous looking, and we want to make him more monstrous looking, but at the same time be very recognizably Venom. So Marvel Games helped us quite a bit with that. But yeah, it's the Fallen stuff is really, really fun, is to reinterpret these characters through an evil lens.
Right. I do really like Sabretooth.
Oh, it was great.
That was great. That was another great immolate moment, yeah. And it broke the block on the other Guardian. So that's good. Although,
if you destroy that device,
Oh no, I just failed again.
Oh, no. All right.
I think I'm done with the attempts.
We gave you a couple shots.
Yeah. 3 attempts. Oh man.
Yep.
But no, I think with I do really like Sabretooth because he's fun as a character because you do get to see him both as a non-fallen and as a fallen.
True.
So seeing a progression.
That's true.
And his frenzy mechanic, like having permanent frenzy on him is it just completely changes the way that you have to play.
Yeah.
And
it's just
totally
that, and that's
different.
what's fun, right? Is when you go, oh, this mission's going to be. I've got to like devise new strategies now, because I know how to like walk through this, but like, oh man, Sabretooth is firing off all the time. You're like, okay, some of these abilities, like quick abilities, they're the best abilities you can use a lot of times. Against Sabretooth, dangerous, very dangerous,
right? Because even though you can get your card play refunded, he's still going to tick down his frenzy timer and beeline for you.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to take a couple more questions. This one's from Dark Legion Mage on Twitch. What iconic villain?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Really?
What iconic villain was the hardest to work with and why?
Hardest?
I would say Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Fallen Scarlet Witch was tough because everyone immediately was like, oh, we could do mind control. We're like, mind control is really, really tricky. So we found a way to make it work. I guess we will leave that as a surprise for how that kind of manifests in our gameplay mechanics. But she was tricky.
The other thing you could say is like, well, she alters reality, and you're like,
right? How do you?
And you're like, well, what does that mean, right? Like, that's a great thing for a narrative device, but translating that to a tactical game where you want everything to feel fair and the rules to be well understood, like altering reality, which again, we do integrate that, but you have to think, you're right, Scarlet Witch would be the one where you're like,
and be grounded enough that you can, still kind of play around it and understand what's happening in the gameplay space.
Cool. All right, we've got a question from Carlos Pieri from YouTube. Who is a good character to pair with Nico?
Nico is, her skills are probably the best support abilities in the game. Yeah. So she can work well with a lot of heroes.
But specifically, she counters high hero. Like, she's good. So I would either say Dark Hunter, right? Like, Dark Hunter, where they're going to need that sort of health or support, and they have high heroism cost abilities.
Ghost Rider, too.
Captain Marvel. Ghost Rider, she's great. Yeah, she is great with Ghost Rider, too. Those really. So Ghost Rider and Captain Marvel are same but different. They both deal a ton of damage, but they have a really high heroism cost as well.
Nico can reduce the cost of heroism abilities. She can heal heroes. She can apply positive status effects to heroes and debuff enemies. So if you play Nico and you get strengthened on Ghost Rider and reduce all of his heroism abilities to cost nothing,
it's ridiculous.
Then you can just like launch off hell rides and penance stairs all day, and it is fun.
All right, last question from Twitch. Since the heroes are unique, what happens when the HP reaches 0? Are they just knocked out for that entire map?
Yep. So they'll take a knee, and then you will get revive cards in your hand. Depending on your difficulty level, you have a certain number of revives per mission. So so you always have a chance generally to bring the hero back. They'll revive with 50% of their health. If they get KO'd multiple times, as you saw from my experiences, then they just take a knee and hang out.
And like everything in this game, it's a very, very big, deep comic games, so there's caveats to all of that. Like Wolverine's got his own special thing,
right?
right?
Wolverine is unique where you have your kind of squad revives. Wolverine has his own unique revive that kind of exists outside of that. So
we have a
Wolverine
combat
gets
item
KO'd,
that can help.
There's a combat item that
can help revive
characters. So there are a couple other ways you can kind of push and pull the system a little bit. But yeah, no one's dying, so no worries there.
No.
Yeah.
Everyone just gets KO'd, and then they're fine to go back.
Unlike the comics, no one's dying.
Unlike the comics, yeah. Well, they just come back anyway.
Yeah, so thank you all for your incredible questions. We really appreciate it. And thank you guys for your awesome answers.
Of course.
1 second. It sounds like we're getting another question coming through. An interception.
You did it, fam. Turns out bullying corporations on the internet works. Says so right here in this acceptance email. We cordially invite you to be part of the team that legally cannot be named. Yes! Looks like I'm on the wait a hot minute. Teammates? Okay, so it's a group thing. That's cool, I guess. We've got a symbiotic tongue that's barely safe for work. Dr. Morbin time! The muted meteorologist! And finally, little old moi. I know. You haven't seen me in a video game in years. Just keep it in your pants until you hear the safe word.
What?
There we go.
Well, I guess his campaign worked.
Yeah.
Merc
So
with the mouth. He's
Deadpool's gonna be DLC.
Yeah. Was it all the chimichangas that he sent that broke you, Jake?
It was
Just
my,
truckloads
Just
pulling
bring
up
'em in,
out
yeah.
back.
our deep and abiding love. So yes, we have all those characters there for DLC. So that's a season that you can purchase. You also get it if you purchase the Legendary Edition. The heroes that are in the DLC, of course, Deadpool, and we also have Dr. Michael Morbius, the living vampire.
Coming to the one of the original Midnight Suns, coming to the roster.
The Lethal Protector.
Venom. So Venom is very interesting because you get to see his redemption arc. You know, obviously he's a villain in the base game, and then you get to recruit him and kind of feel how, learn how he feels about that, which is great.
And of course, one of my personal favorites and my favorite leader of the X-Men, which is Storm. And all these characters, there's a brand new story. They all have a bunch of story missions. They all have everything that the base game heroes have, plus this new story. So
and they'll fit right into your roster. At whatever point in the game you're at, you'll be able to pick up the DLC heroes and inject them into your current playthrough and campaign, which is fantastic.
And the base game, we want to remind you, the base game comes out on December 2nd for Xbox Series X
soon.
and S,
It's
PlayStation
getting closer.
5, PC. That's right. So yeah, oh my gosh, it is getting closer.
It's like almost less than a month away.
Okay.
Cannot wait. It's going to be, so excited.
DLCs we can expect in early 2023 as well.
Wow.
Awesome. So look forward to more developer live streams. We're going to continue to be doing these up until and after launch. The next one will be focused on the Abbey and all those really cool friendship systems that we've been alluding to over the last couple of live streams. Reminder, as Jake said, the game does launch on December 2nd. Pre-orders are open, especially for that Legendary Edition that will get you all of those awesome DLC characters and Deadpool.
Yeah. Make sure you get that, otherwise Deadpool will start a petition to get you to purchase him in your game, and you don't want that. It's been a rough week.
Yeah, he's already created too much havoc. So thank you everyone so much for watching, and we will see you at the next developer live stream.
Thanks everybody.